لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Have some mango, bismillah. Isn't it sweet? So, subhanallah al-azim, over the course of the last 20 days since the conflict in Gaza, may Allah aid them, there's been a lot of talk, debates, conversations taking place across various platforms, whether it be a speaker's corner, whether it be just, face to cam, people in their cars, etc. And recently our brother Daniel Hakikaju, who I was with for a few days in Birmingham, also went up with him to Bradford as well, and he attended Speaker's Corner, which he should, right? And from the conversation with Shamsi, which has gone viral, there was a lot of conversations and a lot of discussion. Fiery, but controlled. And one particular individual, I don't know his name for sure, but he's known as the Jordanian Sheikh, Mohammed Tarawneh, I think his name is. And he entered into this conversation and he made some comments or added his input into this particular issue. But before I get to that, nowadays the term Sheikh is used quite loosely. It's like Sheikh, and which is done out of respect, I get that. But this individual, I need to ask, are you actually qualified? Where have you studied and how long you studied for and where are your qualifications? Just out of curiosity, what we need to know is, are you indeed qualified to give fatwa? Getting back to the video now. So what happened was the Jordanian Sheikh was discussing the peace treaty between Jordan and Israel. And this is why everyone who is making points needs to back up their claim. One problematic point was raised by the Jordanian Sheikh, and he said, and I quote, that the treaty between Jordan and Israel had a condition regarding a two-state solution. And Shamsi was parroting this because, as I always say, they all come together when it comes to their beloved rulers. So let's have a listen.
That they accept one of the conditions to expand, okay? That's not true. Show us with the Jordanian and Israel, they signed one of the conditions that yes, you Israel.
I read the peace treaty between them.
He's making up stuff. You're
I'm from Jordan.
Let me speak.
And by the way, I came from a family which we are aware of all of these details. Basically, that the agreement that to have the two-state country, that's the agreement between Jordan.
He's known. He lies.
That's
and Shamsi was like, he's lying at the two-state, and then he made a point. Oh, this is embarrassing. He said, I'm not trying to imitate him, but this is what he said. He goes, I come from a family who are aware of these details, and the agreement between Jordan and Israel was that it was two-state solution. And then Shamsi goes, he's lying. It's like the blind reading the blind. They haven't read the peace treaty between Jordan and Israel, and I have to break it to you because you're from a family that knows the details. You need to go back and double check what they told you, because the treaty doesn't make any mention of two-state, mate. You read the articles, and I'm going to present it on screen for you. What's embarrassing is they reiterate this point over and over again. So before I present the treaty on screen, just let's listen to them some more.
Of the Muslim countries, the peace treaty of the Muslim countries, either is the two-state solution.
Which you disagree?
What I'm saying, two-state solution.
The modern normalization is not two-state solution.
No, wait.
It's not two-state solution.
When the Muslims were defeated, Islam was victorious. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, this is the Sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal. As long as the Muslims they unite upon Islam, as long as the Muslims they follow Islam, then Allah will give them the victory. And as soon as they are away from that, Allah will destroy them. This was
Mohammed, 1 second, yeah? You have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Daniel, because He knows the ways and the condition, and we know the condition with the Muslim countries when they made peace treaty.
So you heard Joseph say, you need to fear Allah because He knows the conditions. He's Jordanian. Honestly, what are you guys upon? Uqsum billahi al-azim, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's present the conditions and let's see if there's two-state solutions included in it. So he comes from a political family, or he knows about these stuff, the details. Well, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. As you can see on screen, we've got the Treaty of Peace between the State of Israel and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Mr. Tarawneh, Jordanian Sheikh, did you know the details, right? Let me educate you. So, I mentioned the government of the State of Israel and the government of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, bearing in mind the Washington Declaration signed by them on the 25th of July 1994, and which they are committed to honor. Washington Declaration, right? Let's go into it. So as you can see on screen, we've got the Washington Declaration, okay? And it mentions nothing about a two-state solution. As you can see, you can read it yourself. If anyone's interested, go into it. Here it is. All of it's there. You can read it for yourself. But this particular treaty, I'm going to go into it in more detail. So here you go. So, aiming at the achievement of a just, lasting and comprehensive peace in the Middle East, based on Security Resolutions 242 and 338 in all their aspects. Go read Security Council 242 and 338. Doesn't mention anything of a two-state solution. I challenge you. Go read it. Okay, so let's go to Article 1. Because we're going to go through the articles now. Mr. Tarawneh says it was part of the conditions. Shamsi the Parrot was mentioning the same thing. So Article 1, Establishment of Peace. Peace is hereby established between the State of Israel and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The parties effective from the exchange of the instruments of ratification of this treaty. There you go. Nothing mentioned two-state. General Principles, Article 2. The parties will apply between them the provisions of the Charter of the United Nations and the principles of international law, governing relations among states in time of peace. In particular, they will recognize and will respect each other's sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence. Okay? This is what they agreed. Carrying on. They will recognize and will respect each other's right to live in peace within secure and recognized boundaries. They will develop good neighborly relations of cooperation between them to ensure lasting security, will refrain from the threat of use of force against each other, and will settle all disputes between them by peaceful means. Number 4, they respect and recognize the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence of every state in the region. Palestine doesn't have a state. They respect and recognize the pivotal role of human development and dignity in regional and bilateral relationships. Number 6, they further believe that within their control, involuntary movements of persons in such a way as to adversely prejudice the security of either party should not be permitted. So there you go. Nothing mentioned in two states so far. Article 3, International Boundary. The international boundary between Israel and Jordan is delimited with reference to the boundary definition under the mandate as it's shown in Annex 1A, or Annex IA, on the mapping materials attached thereto and coordinates specified therein. Boundary as set out in Annex IA is the permanent, secure and recognized international boundary between Israel and Jordan, without prejudice to the status of any territories that come under Israeli military government in 1967. Now come back to me now. Now look how important that is to Israel. Jordan was in control of the West Bank from 48 to 67. This clause here, as per the agreement in 1994, confirms, as per the boundary, you can check it out as well, that is the permanent, secure and recognized international boundary between Israel and Jordan, without prejudice to the status of any territories that come under Israeli military government control in 1967. So 1967, Israel annexed the West Bank, Sinai, Gaza, and the Golan Heights, right? Resolution 338 of the UN Security Council confirms that they withdraw. So Jordan has let that go. They let that go per this peace agreement. That's it, that's fine. It doesn't prejudice Israel's right, which is obviously territories that come under their control in 1967. So thus far, Article 3 recognizes Israel's territorial gains per 1967. Do you understand? So obviously by this time, Sinai was given back because of the agreement with Egypt. But Golan, they recognize Israel has the right to take over Golan, and that doesn't prejudice anything to do with their expansion, because they took Golan. Golan is part of Syria. Gaza at that time was under the occupation of Israel. And all those territories, it's fine, according to this peace treaty. Let's carry on. So, do you know what? I'll just change my mind. I'm not going to read all of it because it's going to get too long. There's Article 3. Okay? You guys can pause it and read it because I don't want this video to be too lengthy. But in a nutshell, Mr. Tarawneh didn't give you the correct information. And Shamsi parroted his claim that there was a two-state solution when indeed there wasn't. In Article 4, security, I'll just read the point 1. Both parties acknowledging that mutual understanding and cooperation in security-related matters will form a significant part of their relations and will further enhance the security of the region. Take upon themselves to base their security relations on mutual trust, advancement of joint interest and cooperation, and aim towards a regional framework of partnership in peace. Okay, and it carries on there. Article 5, diplomatic and other bilateral relations. Article 6, in terms of water. Article 7, in terms of economic relations. Okay. Article 8, refugee and displaced persons. So I'll read this out just in case you might think I'm trying to hide something. Recognizing the massive human problems caused to both parties by the conflict in the Middle East, as well as the contribution made by them towards the elevation of human suffering, the parties will seek to further alleviate those problems arising on a bilateral level. Number 2, recognizing that the above human problems caused by the conflict in the Middle East cannot be fully resolved on the bilateral level. The parties will seek to resolve them in appropriate forums in accordance with international law, including the following. International laws, Resolution 338, withdrawal from territories that have been occupied. Nothing has happened there. A, in the case of displaced persons, in a quadripartite committee together with Egypt and the Palestinians. In the framework of the multilateral working group on refugees, in negotiations in the framework to be agreed bilateral or otherwise, in conjunction with and at the same time as the permanent status negotiating penetrating into the territories referred to the Article 3 of this territory. Through the implement of agreed United Nations programs and other agreed international economic programs concerning refugees and displaced persons, including assistance to their settlement. Now, Article 3 just refers to the international boundary. Okay, so it doesn't mention anything about a two-state solution in here at all. Number 9, Article 9, which is the places of historical and religious significance and interfaith relations. Now, this is something where Jordan do have some power in the grounds of Al-Aqsa. So let's read it. Each party will provide freedom of access to places of religious and historical significance. In this regard, in accordance with the Washington Declaration, Israel respects the present special role of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan in Muslim holy shrines in Jerusalem. When negotiations on the permanent status would take place, Israel will give high priority to the Jordanian historical role in these shrines. The parties will act together to promote interfaith relations among the three monotheistic religions, with the aim of working towards religious understanding, moral commitment, freedom of religious worship, and tolerance and peace. Article 10, cultural and scientific exchanges. Doesn't mention anything about two-state. Article 11, mutual understanding and good neighborly relations. Nothing there about two-state. You can see it for yourself. Here you go. I'll put it on screen for you. Number 12, combating crimes and drugs. Nothing there. Transportation and roads. Article 13. Nothing there about two-state. Article 14, freedom of navigation and access to ports. Nothing about two-state here as well. Article 15, civil aviation. Nothing there either. Article 16, posting telecommunications. Nothing there either. Article 17, tourism. Nothing there about two-state solution either. And then you got Article 18, environment. Nothing there. Article 19, energy. Nothing there either. Article 20, Rift Valley development. Nothing there. Article 21, health. Nothing there. Article 22, agriculture. As you can see, nothing there. Article 23, Akbar and Elat. Nothing there. Article 24, claims. Nothing there. Article 25, rights and obligations. As you can see, there is nothing there that mentions anything about a two-state solution. You can read it for yourself. I'll leave it there for a bit, just in case someone says, oh, rights and obligations. Nothing there. Can you see it? Absolutely nothing there about a two-state solution. Okay. Number 26, legislation. So basically, within 3 months of exchange of the instruments of ratification of this treaty, the parties undertake to enact any legislation necessary in order to implement the treaty and to terminate any international commitments and to repeal any legislation that is inconsistent within the treaty, or with the treaty. Sorry. So you got Article 27, ratification and annexes. So as you can see, this treaty shall be ratified by both parties in conformity with respective national procedures. It shall enter into force on the exchange of instruments of ratification. The annexes, appendices, and other attachments to the treaty will be considered integral parts thereof. Article 28, interim measures. The article will apply in certain spheres to be agreed upon interim measures pending the conclusion of the relevant agreements in accordance with this treaty as stipulated in Annex, I don't know the Latin number, is that 7? I don't know. Article 29, settlement of disputes. Disputes arising out of application or interpretation of this treaty shall be resolved by negotiations. Any such disputes which cannot be settled by negotiation shall be resolved by conciliation or submitted to arbitration. Number 30, registration, and just says that this is going to be registered, etc. So for the State of Israel, you've got Yitzhak Rabin, Prime Minister. For the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Abdullah Salam Majali, Prime Minister, witnessed by William J. Clinton, President of the United States of America. And there's a list of annexes, appendices, and other attachments. So you got the international boundary, all the water and all that stuff, drugs and all that. Okay, so coming back to me now, where does it mention two-state solution in the peace treaty? You said you come from a family that knows about the conditions. Shamsi was barking, yeah, I know about the conditions. Oh. Embarrass yourself. You lied. So you got to come out and retract because you've misled the people. The treaty between Israel and Jordan does not make anything of the two-state solution. You were reiterating a two-state solution, two-state solution. It doesn't mean anything about a two-state solution in the treaties, right? So, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Sheikh Tarawneh misinformed you. He misled you. There's 29 articles roughly. Not one of the articles mentioned two-state solution. So you need to come out and publicly retract, Sheikh, okay? Because you cannot provide misinformation, and you're supposed to be what you said, I come from a family that knows about these details. You don't know nothing about it, mate. Because I've just read the actual treaty. And I read the Washington Declaration before this. And none of it mentions a two-state solution. So you lied. You lied or you were ignorant. And both of them are bad as each other. So you need to make tawbah, you need to publicly retract and say, yes, I was misinformed. Whoever from the family that I am from didn't give me the full details because you didn't read the treaty. SubhanAllah, these guys are the people that are supposed to say Quran and Sunnah. And as I mentioned in my tweet, shouting Quran and Sunnah does not mean that you are applying it correctly. Do you understand? Doesn't mean you're applying it correctly. And that's what we hear from you. Oh, no, Shamsi quotes Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Wallah al-Azim. The blind leading the blind. So take care of yourselves. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني تمر ساعة